consented being filmed, and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings being used as outlined. Democratic Services, can I please ask you to record? Excellent. We'll move into the main part of the meeting, and the first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. We have one apologies for absence, as Councillor Jamie Scriven. We move on to the second item on the agenda, which are declarations of interest. Have we got any declarations of interest? We have none. Thanks, Geraint. We'll move on to agenda item 3, which is the empty property strategy update. To receive a report from the Director of Governance and Resources, Councillor Declan Salmon.
Thank you, Leader. The purpose of this report is to update on the progress and performance against the Empty Home Strategy 2022-2026, including the revised action plan, which was updated in March 2025, all with the aim of bringing 7% of empty properties back into use every year, but with a specific target of bringing a further 200 empty properties back into use. The key approaches to bring empty properties back into use were engagement, financial assistance and support. The financial assistance included loans, grants and VAT advice. As members will be aware, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council agreed to offer the National Empty Homes Grant in 2023 by offering 10% match funding, with the total contribution from the council being capped at £124,000. Council tax premiums were used as a strategic lever to encourage reuse of empty homes. Unfortunately, enforcement may be necessary for those properties with the highest risk, and it is proposed that members will be updated quarterly on progress of the strategy. I go straight to the recommendations, and they are at 2.1. The update of the action plan associated with the Empty Property Strategy 2022-2026 be noted. 2.2, the approach as outlined in this report of prioritising by risk assessment of empty properties that have been empty over 2 years be approved. 2.3, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council will continue to participate in the National Empty Homes Grant Scheme until the originally allocated funding has been exhausted, or until Welsh Government withdraws the scheme, whichever comes first be noted. And 2.4, data relating to activity against the Empty Home Strategy will be provided to all elected members on a quarterly and national indicator annually basis via Public Protection Services updates be noted. I so move.
Thanks, Councillor Salmon. Do we have a seconder?
Happy to check and second, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. We'll open it up for debate. Any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Thanks, Geraint. Any comments?
No comments, Chair.
We'll take that straight to the vote then, please, Geraint. Oh, sorry, Councillor Salmon.
I do apologise. It would be remiss of me to not to thank Sean James for putting the report together. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Salmon. We'll take it to the vote then, Geraint.
That's carried, Chair.
Excellent, thank you. We'll go on to agenda item 4, which is the Revenue Budget Outturn 24-25. To consider the report from the Director of Finance, Councillor Anna Williams-Price. Would you like to refer to the report?
Thank you. So this report presents the Provisional Revenue Budget Outturn for 24-25 financial year, and following the closure of accounts, the net revenue budget surplus of 899,000 is being reported, and this is after the proposed transfers of 1.711 million to earmarked reserves. The surplus has been achieved despite continued financial pressures, with inflation and pay awards still present, but supported by careful budget monitoring and also grant funding received late in year, including £887,520 from Welsh Government, which has been allocated to help with in-year cost pressures. So it is proposed that £459,000 of the surplus be transferred to the general reserves and £440,000 to the budget reserve, and this would increase general reserves to £6.469 million as of the 31st of March 2025, which would represent 3.75% of the Council's net revenue expenditure, in line with the target set out in the reserves policy. I think it's important to note Section 6, which seeks to update Cabinet on financial risks interconnected with our medium-term financial plan, particularly around teachers' pay and the impact of a higher than forecasted award. As such, the report also outlines the creation of several earmarked reserves to support specific service pressures and also future priorities, including transformation. I'll move the recommendations, which are 2.1, the provisional revenue outturn position for the 24-25 financial year be noted. 2.2, the proposed transfer of 1.711 million to earmarked reserves as detailed in Appendix 4 be approved. And 2.3, the proposed transfer of the provisional net revenue budget surplus of £899,000, with £459,000 to general reserves and £440,000 to the budget reserve be approved.
Thanks, Councillor Anne Williams-Price. I'm happy to second. We'll open that up then to members' questions.
So, no questions, Chair.
Members' comments?
No comments, Chair.
We'll take that straight to the vote then.
Yeah, that's carried, Chair.
Excellent, thanks, Geraint. Agenda item 5 is the Corporate Parenting Annual Report. To consider the report to the Director of Social Services, Councillor Louise Minette-Vaux.
Chair. So this report reaffirms our dedication to the Corporate Parenting Charter, a promise for Wales pledging that every decision we make reflects what we'd want for our own children, ensuring compassion, opportunity, dignity and safety. The Corporate Parent Annual Report 24-25 highlights Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council's continued commitment to supporting children and young people in care. It provides a detailed reflection on the progress made, celebrates key successes and outlines our ambitious action plan for 25-26. So some key achievements: reduction in children looked after, a significant drop in the number of children looked after from 197 to 161. So this reflects successful early intervention, consistent child protection planning and increased use of special guardianship orders. Delivering on strategic priorities, progress across the 6 key priorities of the corporate parenting strategy has been encouraging. These are voice, choice and control, safe, stable homes, fulfilled ambitions, good health, preparation for adulthood and well-trained staff. So forward looking for the action plan 25-26 is a clear roadmap that's been set with specific deliverables under each priority, including participation strategy, residential quality care reviews, health support updates, independence workbooks and guides, advocacy and systemic practice developments. There are some future opportunities highlighted, such as translation of the report into Welsh and create a child-friendly version, to continue to strengthen cross-centre collaboration and to stay ambitious in safely reducing looked after numbers and improving lifelong outcomes. So I'd like to move the recommendation set out in 2.1 that the Corporate Parenting Board Annual Report 24-25 be noted and the detail within the action plan for 25-26 be discussed and approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Minette-Vaux. Do we have a seconder?
Thanks, Chair. I will second.
Thanks, Councillor Anne Williams-Price. We'll take that to questions.
So, no questions, Chair.
Any comments? Councillor Minette-Vaux.
Come in first before? No? Okay. So in Merthyr, we take pride in being ambitious, compassionate corporate parents. This report reflects our unwavering commitments to putting children and young people at the heart of everything we do. The progress made over the past year is a testament to the dedication of our staff, partners and the voices of our young people who continue to inspire and shape our services. As we move forward, there is a shared vision to ensure that every child has the opportunity to thrive, feel valued and release their full potential in Merthyr Tydfil. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Minette-Vaux. We'll take that to the vote then.
That's carried, Chair.
Thanks, Geraint. Agenda item 6 is the Play Sufficiency Assessment 2025. Consider a report from the Director of Social Services, Councillor Louise Minette-Vaux.
Thank you, Chair. So Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council aims to create a borough where every child, regardless of background or ability, can play freely and safely in high-quality environments. This vision supports improved health, social development and community cohesion. The Play Sufficiency Assessment 25 provides a comprehensive evaluation of the state of play opportunities in Merthyr Tydfil, ensuring we meet our statutory duties under the Children and Families Wales Measure 2010. So, conducted independently by the Premier Advisory Group, this assessment reaffirms our shared commitment to enabling all children and young people to enjoy rich, inclusive and accessible play experiences. Some key achievements and progress. Strong performance against national indicators. Out of 84 measures, 64 were rated green and 20 amber, with red at 0, demonstrating clear and commendable progress since 2022. Effective use of grant funding, strategic and collaborative leadership, investment in inclusive play. Areas like Gurnus and Merthyr Vale have seen targeted funding and development. Community engagement at its core. Over 600 survey responses and numerous focus groups have shaped the assessment. An action plan priorities going forward is to expand inclusive and sensory play equipment, develop youth-friendly and teenage-targeted spaces, improve safety and lighting in parks, address transport and affordability barriers, and strengthen training opportunities for play workers. So I'd like to move the recommendation set out in 2.1, that the 2025 Play Sufficiency Assessment and Annual Play Action Plan, as required under Section 11 of the Children and Families Wales Measure 2010 and Play Sufficiency Wales Regulation 2012, be formally approved and submitted to Welsh Government. And in 2.2, updates on progress against the recommendations within the associated action plan are reported annually to elected members be approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Louise Menard-Vaux. Do we have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Salmon. We'll take that to members' questions.
No questions, Chair.
Thank you, Geraint. Members' comments? Councillor Louise Menard-Vaux.
Thank you, Chair. Merthyr Tydfil is proud to be building a play-friendly future for all our children and young people. This assessment reflects not only our compliance with statutory requirements, but more importantly, our passion and purpose in placing children's well-being at the heart of local planning. Through partnership, creativity and a firm commitment to equity, we are making play accessible, safe and inclusive. As we move forward as a Cabinet, we will continue to champion the power of play as a cornerstone of happy, healthy and thriving communities. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Menard-Vaux. We'll take that to the vote then, please, Geraint.
That's carried, Chair.
Excellent, thank you. Agenda item 7 of the report is the Health and Social Care Regional Partnership Agreement Integrated Community Care System. To consider the report of the Director of Social Services, Councillor Menard-Vaux.
Thank you, Chair. So this report updates Cabinet on progress towards delivering a fully integrated community care system for older people and those living with frailty across Merthyr Tydfil and the wider Cwm Taf Morgannwg region. It recommends approval of the Regional Partnership Agreement, which is a formal legal framework enabling joint-up health and social care delivery through shared governance, pooled resources and improved accountability. This joint-up framework consists of Bridgend County Borough Council, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council, Rhondda Cynon Taf County Borough Council and Cwm Taf Morgannwg University Health Board. This report is about how Merthyr Tydfil Council is working with the NHS and other councils to join up health and social care services, especially for older people and those who need extra care and support. The positive outcomes for these services working better together will mean that residents can get help earlier, they don't have to keep repeating their story, and hopefully will avoid unnecessary hospital stays and get care closer to home. To make this happen, they've written a formal agreement called the Regional Partnership Agreement, or RPA, with clear rules on how everyone will work together. This is a new way of working. It means health and social care teams will work as one team, such as nurses, social workers and therapists. People will get a joint plan of care. Staff will share information better. Services be proactive, not reactive, and spotting problems early and helping people stay independent. So currently in Merthyr and Rhondda Cynon Taf, teams are starting to align in autumn 2025. The first phase is about getting existing teams to collaborate more. A later phase by 27 will fully roll out the new integrated model. So this agreement is important as it sets out those shared goals and allows all the organisations to pool resources, funding and staff, create joint roles and measure progress together. There's no extra cost right now, but it could help save money long term by reducing hospital stays and improving community care. So for Merthyr Tydfil residents, the report states the care will be more joined up and personalised, people get help quicker and more locally. And for services, the most important is the staff will work closer together. Frontline workers are helping design how services will work, so it all makes sense in real life, and a clear plan is in place to measure what's working and what needs improving. We have Matt Jenkins, the Integrated Service Director from Cwm Taf Maganog Regional Partnership Board, here with us today. If there are any questions the members would like to ask. And then I'll go to the recommendations, Chair. 2.1, the progress made towards creating an integrated community care system for older people and people living with frailty be noted. The ICCS model in Figure 1 as the basis for integrated service development be approved. 2.3, the Regional Partnership Agreement Appendix 1 be approved. 2.4, the intention to seek similar approval from Cwm Taf Maganog University Health Board and the 2 other local authorities in the region within the same timescale and in advance of commencement of the agreement in the autumn of 2025 be noted. 2.5, updates on the ongoing development of the ICCS be received. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Minette-Vokes. Do we have a seconder?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. We'll take that open then to members' questions. Councillor David Jones.
Thank you, Chair. It's for Mr Jenkins. I can see that health will clearly see the benefit of this as it's pulling together services to improve hospital discharge. My concern is that health will benefit to the detriment of social services. What assurances are there that Merthyr Tydfil residents do not lose access to resources from social services or that resources are not reduced or lost? Please.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. I think it's a really important question. We know that for older people and people living with frailty, if they're subject to hospital admission, then their discharge often involves a social care package. And where we're able to therefore prevent a hospital discharge, the likelihood of an intensive package prior to discharge is minimised. So the model that you have described in the paper and the agreement, the way that it's crafted, is very much balanced to deliver benefits across social care and healthcare. Hopefully the measurement framework in the appendix to the document really highlights that opportunity to really shift our system to create a much stronger system in the community that intervenes earlier, that is preventative, and then avoids this escalation which can result in those failure costs, if you like, to social care down the line. So very much part of this agreement is to deliver benefits for people in receipt of social care as well as healthcare.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Williams-Price.
Thank you. Focusing on the staff in particular, how will we be able to ensure that frontline staff across both health and social care, particularly working in Merthyr Tydfil, will feel supported and informed during this transition to this way of working?
Hi, thank you very much, Councillor, for that question. Alongside the integrated approach for working with health and social care, we're obviously looking at our current frontline staff services and including them in consultation. Specifically in terms of hospital discharge, we are celebrating our successes. Certainly we don't receive some of the delays that our larger partners have, and it's important to recognise that. The members of staff that we currently got, based on the preparation for this report, we've just increased by 1 member of staff so that we can create a more robust service. And it's about then, if then you're in agreement of the Section 33, for us then to continue with a consultation with them so that they can then shape the services that they're working in and also then take responsibility then in terms of that role. The other secondary gain in terms of supporting members of staff is to give the message to our health colleagues so that they can be supported then in terms of the social care role, specifically the assessment, and to move that assessment from being based on the wards to within their own homes with the provision of intermediate care services.
Thank you. And then thinking in terms of as we move along this journey, and particularly from a health perspective, looking at Merthyr Tydfil, how will it be measured, what's working and what needs improving as we move along that journey?
Thank you, Councillor. The intention is that this is a dynamic framework, as your question infers. The service model will develop over time. We've developed that outcomes and measurement framework in the middle of the document to help us understand whether the system's moving in the way anticipated to deliver those better benefits for our citizens. So there's a 4-tiered framework. The first tier is about outcomes for people, maximising the number of healthy days at home. The second tier is about that system shift to be able to support people earlier rather than later in the system, where we're seeing unnecessary conveyances to hospitals and delayed discharges. The third tier is more traditional service performance, about those integrated services and the extent to which they're delivering. And then the fourth area is around our staff, who, building on Rob's comments, unanimously support this way of working. They experience every day the frustrations of coming up against professional barriers, regulatory barriers, funding barriers. So the integrated model is a real positive there. We hope to see that fed through in terms of the data that we collect from staff, but also fundamentally from our citizens as well. So the responses that we get through qualitative information, or indeed patient outcome and experience measures, they're all part of that framework. So it's very data driven. This, and it'll be the basis which we and you judge success fundamentally of this work as we go forward.
Thank you both.
Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can you tell me when Merthyr Tydfil residents will see the benefits of this and what does it actually mean for them? Thanks.
So Merthyr Tydfil residents have seen the benefit of it now. What we're finding that we've recently moved our hospital discharge services into Block 10, not on a full-time basis, but certainly in terms of a part-time basis, so that those discussions of hospital discharge can start earlier in a person's journey of discharge rather than when they're later on in their process. In terms of the benefits for that person, we're sharing that information so we don't have to ask them the same question twice or 3 times. We're looking at processes in terms of the discharge process so that we can gain information via use of an electronic form from ward staff so that we can predict in terms of the person's discharge journey, and if that's then intermediate care services, set those services up so that then at the point of discharge the person then can be discharged without delay. In terms of a second phase, what we're also putting in place for our own hospital discharge services, I mentioned, is to learn our successes. Our successes that we've got really dedicated staff who are able to have those conversations with people, what matters conversations. And we're able to establish then, rather than over prescription of service, looking at what people's needs are and meeting them on a quicker basis. In terms of a third phase, we're then looking to formally put these into our processes and procedures when we have a new database, which is a Mosaic database, which is due to be started from January 2026, but integration then following in the year then in spring or summer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. What mechanisms are in place to ensure the needs of Merthyr Tydfil's population are not diluted in a regional model? And are you confident that residents of Merthyr Tydfil will get the same level of service as everyone else?
Perhaps I could start with that one. Thank you, Councillor. So in the first place, needs assessment is really, really important, and we've carried that out regionally, but with a focus on each of the local areas. The partners have come together to undertake that, and that's been the foundation, I suppose, of this work. It points out that we've an increasing number of older people living with frailty. Those citizens really require coordination and continuity of care. So the whole premise of this is based on local needs is a very important aspect of it. This is about using resources earlier in the system rather than addressing failure later on. So really focused here. That you think you can see currently, for example, in the Health Board, of a transfer of resources into the community there through the new hospital at home model, for example. So, as Rob described earlier, Merthyr Tydfil residents, benefiting now, but this will develop over time. To that point.
I think specifically, Councillor, in terms of your question, currently we look at hospital discharges on a regional basis. So, for instance, this time last month, if you looked at the number of delays, there was around about 126 delays in reference to hospital discharges for the whole Health Board. In terms of us, though, of Merthyr, we had 6 of those which were delays. And what this Section 33 agreement allows is it gives us the same standing at the table in reference to our larger partners to say that these are our successes, this is what we're doing well, and this is what we need to do to focus then for the needs of the people who are in hospital services within Cyntaf Morgannwg. I think without the Section 33 agreement, I've worked and Matt's worked in areas where we haven't had it. We're at risk then of our voice being diluted, as you've said, because we don't have those agreements that we have that equal standing. So it also gives us that. The other thing I think that this Section 33 agreement would allow is that we would ensure as a regional basis that regardless of whichever hospitals a Merthyr person was in, they would expect the same standard of service, specifically in terms of hospital discharge and the access certainly to intermediate care services which are being developed by our partners in health. The last thing as well, in terms of just to make sure then that the person's, in terms of Merthyr's voice is heard, is then that we need to ensure that the discharge services that are available to people will meet their needs. So for instance, as Matt was saying, with our ageing population and certainly issues in terms of memory impairment, and how can we provide those services within their own home rather than the previous traditional model of looking at residential or nursing care services. So we're looking to reduce those where we can and appropriate following assessment, those placements as well to keep people in their own home and their families and communities.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Councillor Minette-Vokes.
Excuse me.
Thank you, Chair. So what plans are in place to communicate this model clearly to the public, particular older residents and their families in Merthyr?
Thank you, Councillor. It's really important, isn't it? This is potentially quite a significant change. I think there's a view in the public that hospitals often best, and sometimes where you require treatment that can be only delivered in a hospital environment, that's the right way to think about it. But with the way that healthcare is developed, and indeed in the way that our social care models have developed as well, the better outcomes for people reside within a community model where people are supported at home. So I'm sure we have got a job of communication with the public around this, which starts with this agreement that we can then point collectively to as Rob was describing, a united target model that we're all working towards, and how we're trying to strengthen these community services. So part of the programme for work, I think I've described in the paper some of the early steps that we're taking, including with our workforce, including some of the developments of aligning the council single point of access with the Health Board Navigation Hub. We need to now translate that, I think, into a public narrative about how they'll experience services differently because of this as the model develops over time. So very much a work in progress. I think we'd have to acknowledge that, but the public communication around this is a significant job of work to do.
Okay, thank you. I got one more, Chair, if that's okay. So I can see that this is mainly an adult agenda. Will there be consideration to integration with children's services down the line?
Fundamentally, we've started with older people living with frailty, but I think the principles of the model apply equally to other population groups, including children and young people. I know Lisa wants to come in on this as chair of the regional Children's Board as well, significant moves over the last 12 months to take more of an integrative approach to supporting children without multiple needs across services applies as much to that group as it does to older people and people living with frailty.
So it's a challenge that we've had for the last couple of children's boards, really. There was a regional event yesterday, it was flagged there yesterday. There is a feeling that a lot of the resources, certainly around integration, goes towards adult services, but the children's board has started sort of from the early years, pre-birth, so they've been working together, multi-agency, working together with health colleagues, health visitors, midwives, to have that integrated model. There's nothing formal set down yet, but that's obviously something we need to look at. There's going to be a formal launch of the vision for the Children's Board in November, which hopefully, as members of the RPB, you'll be invited to that. So hopefully we can then take that forward into 2026.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Have we got any more questions?
No more questions, Chair.
Thanks, Geraint. We'll take that to members' comments. Councillor Minette-Vokes.
Thank you, Chair. I know as a Cabinet we're more than happy in embracing cross-partner working with organisations including health. While we welcome the progress outlined in the report and fully support the principles of integration of services, it is vital that the implementation of this agreement does not negatively impact on the delivery of services to the residents of Merthyr Tydfil. Our priority must remain ensuring that there is high quality, accessible care for our community, that residents are supported to live independently, and our service provisions provide care to those that need it. As this regional model develops, we will continue to monitor its local impact closely and advocate for the needs of Merthyr Tydfil residents to remain at the forefront of planning and delivery. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We'll take that to the vote.
That's carried, Chair.
Excellent, thank you. Before we move on to agenda item 8, gents, would you like to vacate? Yeah. Thank you very much for attending and thanks for answering all the questions. Okay, agenda item 8, byways open to all traffic, Cyfarthfa 135, Troedyrw 44, 69, 82, 33, 126, 127, 175 and 185. To consider the report of the Director of Governance and Resources, Councillor David Jones.
Yes, thank you, Chair. A report was presented to Cabinet on the 11th of October 2023 to consider the introduction of a Road Traffic Regulation Act 1984 to prohibit mechanically controlled propelled vehicles using byways open to all traffic. The list is Cyfarthfa 135, Troedyrw 44, Troedyrw 69, Troedyrw 82, Troedyrw 83, Troedyrw 126, Troedyrw 127, Troedyrw 175 and Troedyrw 185. Following approval at Cabinet in October 23, pre-consultation exercise has been undertaken and the matter is now being referred back to Cabinet to consider the representations received. Officers have commented on the representations of this report, and this report seeks approval for the making of the permanent traffic regulation in respect of some of the routes. And I move the recommendations as laid out below in section 2.1, the making of a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Cyfarthfa 135 to prohibit use by mechanically propelled vehicles be approved. 2.2, the making of a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Troedyrw 44 to prohibit use by mechanically propelled vehicles be approved. 2.3, the making of a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Troedyrw 83 to prohibit use by mechanically propelled vehicles be approved. 2.4, the making of a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Troedyrw 175 to prohibit use by mechanically propelled vehicles be approved. 2.5, the making of a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of the extreme southern terminus of Trodrew 185 to prohibit use by mechanically propelled vehicles be approved. 2.6, a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Trodrew 69 be not made, be approved. 2.7, a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Trodrew 82 be not made, be approved. 2.8, a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Trodrew 126 be not made, be approved. And 2.9, a permanent traffic regulation order in respect of Trodrew 127 not be made, be approved. And so moved, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Do we have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Salmon. We'll take that members' questions.
No questions, Chair.
Okay. Members' comments?
No
No
comments.
comments. We'll take that straight to the vote, please, Geraint.
Oh,
Oh, we've got a comment, have we? Anna? Councillor Williams-Price? Sorry, apologies.
Thank you. Apologies for not raising this earlier in the agenda, but I think due to the representations made by Cyfarthfa Branch Labour Party on this item, of which I am a member, I think it would be best for me not to participate in the vote.
okay. Noted.
Do you want to withdraw?
Yes, go on.
Thank you. We'll take that to the vote then, please.
That's carried, Chair.
Thanks very much, Geraint.
Yeah.
It's the first time I pressed the bell. Huh? Well, that one's.
It's one both sides, isn't it?
Oh, it's one both sides. Anna, did you hear the bell? No. I should get one of them for the cabinet room. Agenda item 9. Siting of the third Welsh Medium Primary School to consider the report from the Director of Education, Councillor Gareth Lewis.
Good afternoon, everyone. Following a thorough feasibility study, the Council has identified the preferred long-term location for the third Welsh Medium Primary School. The recommendation is to construct a new purpose-built school on the current Goetra Primary School site. This new facility will provide 210 pupil places initially, with scope to expand to 420 places should the demand continue to grow. This approach aligns directly with the Welsh Government target of increasing the proportion of Year 1 learners receiving Welsh medium education. Currently, Merthyr Tydfil has two well-established Welsh medium primary schools, Ysgol Gymraeg Santes Tydfil in the north and centre, and Ysgol Gymraeg Rhyd y Grug in the south. A third school established as a satellite provision at Saffla Gurnus has been successful and continues to grow. However, to meet projected demand and avoid surplus places in other schools, a permanent new build is necessary and indeed essential. Recognising that the new build is likely to be completed by September 2032 due to funding and programme timelines, an interim solution is needed to accommodate the expected growth in pupil numbers over the next several years. The Council proposes to refurbish the former St Aloysius primary campus, making it suitable for up to 120 pupils by September 27, and this refurbishment will be fully funded by the Welsh Medium Capital Grant and is the preferred interim option following a comprehensive options appraisal as outlined in the report. Additionally, some improvements will be made at the current seedling site at Saffla Gurnus to enhance facilities in the short term. The total estimated cost of the new build is outlined in the report, with 65% funded by Welsh Government through the Sustainable Communities for Learning programme and the remaining 35% matched by the Council. The interim refurbishment is fully funded by the Welsh Government Capital Grant. The recommendations are outlined in 2.1 through to 2.3 of the report. The preferred way forward for the permanent siting of the new Welsh medium seedling school be a new build school on the current Goetra Primary School be approved. 2.2, that council approval be sought to include this project in the Sustainable Communities for Learning Rolling Programme and required capital match funding commitment detailed in 4.23 be approved. And finally, that the interim solution to develop St Aloysius Campus, BCA, once vacated in readiness for September 27, using Welsh Medium Capital Grant funding, be approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Do we have a seconder?
Yes, Chair. Second.
Thanks, Councillor Williams-Price. Do we have any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Any comments?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think it's important to know that a third Welsh medium primary school is not just about new infrastructure. It's a clear statement of this administration's commitment to the Welsh language, education and culture. It represents significant and positive investment in Welsh medium education for our county borough, ensuring that families have a better choice and children have an increased opportunity to learn through Welsh, whilst also supporting the growth of the Welsh language within our communities. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. We'll take that to the vote.
That's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. We'll move on. Thank you, Geraint. Sorry. We'll move on to agenda item 10 and 11, which are both information reports. So we'll move swiftly on to agenda item 12. Any other business to deal with any business deemed urgent by myself? We haven't any. Thank you all very much for attending today. Thanks for the questions and the comments. And I'll see you all later in full council.